At first, people thought Nora Pike had lost her mind. Every Saturday morning, another pickup would slow at the end of her lane and unload a dead Christmas tree. Brown needles, crooked trunks, branches still holding bits of silver tinsel that flashed in the cold. By February, there were so many of them stacked beside the machine shed that kids on the school bus started pressing their faces to the windows. One of the neighbors said she was building the saddest forest in Nebraska. Another said she was getting ready for a bonfire big enough to be seen from the county line. But Nora never burned a single tree. She dragged each one across the frozen yard, shook loose the ornaments people had missed, cut the wire from the branches, and carried the trunks to the low pasture behind her grandmother's barn. Not straight across the field, not in a pile. In curves, long, slow curves that followed the slope like she was tracing something the rest of them could not see. By late August, those same neighbors would walk onto that pasture and stop laughing, because the place they had written off as worn-out ground was still green, and the fields around it were the color of dust. Nora Pike was 20 years old when she came back to the farm outside Bent Creek, Nebraska. The place was only 39 acres, small enough for larger operators to ignore and tired enough for banks to treat like a problem. Her grandmother, Ruth, had held it together after Nora's father left town and her mother moved west for work. Winter wheat when the rain allowed it, a little hay, a few thin cattle on the back pasture. But the land had been losing for years. The topsoil was shallow. The shelter belt on the north side had opened in 3 places, and every hard rain carved brown fingers down the hill behind the barn. Ruth used to stand at the kitchen sink and watch that water run. "That field is leaving us one storm at a time," she would say. Nora heard that line enough times that it became part of the house. Then, in her second year at a community college agriculture program, she heard something that stayed with her even harder. A conservation instructor named Mara Holt held up a jar of pale, powdery soil and said, "Bad land is not always dead land. Sometimes it's just land that has forgotten how to catch. Not how to grow, not how to produce, how to catch. Water, seed, shade, life." Nora wrote that sentence in the margin of her notebook and circled it twice. When Ruth fell and broke her hip that winter, Nora drove home for what was supposed to be 2 weeks. She never really went back. The farm needed someone who could lift feed sacks, mend fence, call the vet, and sit with Ruth through those long evenings when the house felt too quiet. Nora could do those things. What she could not do was make 39 tired acres behave like a perfect farm. The neighbors knew it too. Glenn Parrish, who ran almost 600 acres across the road, would slow his truck whenever he saw Nora out by the pasture. He was not cruel, exactly. He was worse than cruel. He was amused. "Planning to farm with holiday trash now," he called one morning after he dropped off 3 dead fir trees himself. Nora pulled one of them from his truck bed and set it on the snow. "Only if it's clean," she said. Glenn laughed so hard he slapped the steering wheel. But Nora meant it. She accepted trees with no flocking, no plastic garland, no chemical spray, no fake snow, and no painted glitter. She rejected plenty. She stripped hooks and wire by hand. She sorted spruce from cedar. She separated heavy trunks from soft branch tops. She cut the longer poles to 4-foot sections and stacked them by the shed. Then she took the brushy crowns into the pasture and laid them along those strange curved lines she had drawn on graph paper at the kitchen table. Ruth watched from her recliner by the window. She had known Nora since the girl could fit inside a feed bucket. She knew when Nora was guessing, and she knew when Nora was working through something. So Ruth did not tell her to stop. She only asked, "You know what you're making out there?" Nora looked down at the mud on her boots. "Not yet," she said, "but I know what the water keeps doing by March." The first line of dead trees stretched nearly 400 feet across the lower slope. Nora anchored them with short cedar stakes, tied the brush together with biodegradable twine, and packed loose straw against the uphill side. From the road, it looked ridiculous, a brown tangled fence that did not stand up straight, a hedge with no leaves, a mistake running sideways through a pasture. Glen Parrish stopped again when the ground thawed. "Water's going to tear that apart," he said. "Maybe," Nora answered. "Then what?" She pushed her cap back and looked across the slope. "Then I'll know where it wants to go." The first storm came 11 days later. Not a gentle spring rain. A hard, cold, sideways rain that slapped the windows and turned the lane into soup. At 2 in the morning, Nora stood in the dark kitchen with one hand on the sink and watched lightning show the pasture in pieces. The brush line was barely visible. Then one flash lit the whole hill. Water was hitting the dead trees and spreading. For one bright second, it looked like the land had opened its hands. By daylight, Nora was already outside. The first 100 feet had held. The middle section had sagged. The far end had broken loose and rolled 30 yards downhill, dragging straw and mud with it. 3 weeks of work lay twisted in a drainage cut. Nora stood there with rain dripping from the brim of her cap. Her gloves were soaked. Her knees were shaking from cold, and for the first time since she had come home, she felt exactly as young as everyone thought she was. Glen's truck passed slow on the county road. He did not have to say anything. The silence was enough. Nora wanted to leave the mess there. Let it rot. Let everyone be right. Instead, she walked back to the house, took out the black notebook she had been carrying since college, and wrote down what failed. Not storm-ruined line, not bad idea. She wrote, "Anchor failure at drainage cut. Brush too loose at spill point. Water needs armored gap, not wall." That was the difference between quitting and learning. Quitting turns failure into a verdict. Learning turns failure into a map. For the next 10 days, Nora studied the slope the way other people study ledgers. She walked it after chores. She walked it at noon. She walked it by flashlight while Ruth called from the porch and told her to come in before she froze. She found where the water began. She found where it gathered. She found the place where a tiny dip above the pasture multiplied every storm into a brown rope of runoff. Then she changed the design. Not one long barrier, a series of broken crescents, each one angled to slow water, not stop it. Each one leaving a safe spillway lined with stones from the old barn foundation. Each one packed with dead tree branches on the uphill side and heavier trunks on the downhill side. The goal was not to defeat the storm. It was to teach the storm to stay a little longer. Mara Holt drove out in April after Nora sent photos to her old instructor. She stepped from her state extension pickup wearing rubber boots and the expression of a woman who had seen plenty of Bing plans die in small fields. Nora spread the drawings across the tailgate. Mara said nothing for a while. She walked the crescents, touched the dead branches, kicked one of the cedar stakes with the heel of her boot. Then she looked back at Nora. "You're building brush contour berms." Nora swallowed. "I thought I was just trying to keep the hill from leaving." Mara smiled a little. "That's what good conservation usually is before it has a name." She explained what Nora had nearly built by instinct. Dead brush laid on contour can slow surface runoff. It can trap leaves, seed, manure, and wind-blown soil. It can create a wet, protected strip where native shrubs get through their first brutal year. It can catch snow in winter and release moisture slowly in spring. It can become a nurse structure, not the forest. The thing that helps the forest survive long enough to stand on its own. But Mara also pointed to the broken section. "You can't treat moving water like a fence problem," she said. "Water doesn't respect straight thinking." That sentence became the second line Nora circled. After Mara left, Nora worked harder but not faster. She stopped accepting every tree. She looked for dense branch structure, clean trunks, and needles that would break down without chemical residue. She placed the lightest brush where the slope was gentle. She buried heavier trunk pieces halfway into the soil at the curve's back edge. In the wettest pockets, she planted sandplum, chokecherry, elderberry, and willow cuttings. On the dry rise, she used little bluestem, switchgrass, and prairie clover. The neighbors still saw dead trees. Nora saw scaffolding. She saw shade for seedlings, perches for birds, roughness for wind, sponge space for rain. A place where cow manure would not wash away before it could feed anything. Every ugly piece had a job, and the more jobs Nora found, the less the pasture looked like trash. By June, a second storm came through. This one dropped nearly 2 inches before supper. The county ditch filled. Glenn Parrish lost a shallow gully along his lower soybean field. Ruth sat at the kitchen table with both hands around her coffee cup while Nora stood at the window and watched the hill. The water ran down like it always had. But this time it hit the first brush crescent and slowed. It spread. It slipped through the stone spillway in a thin sheet, instead of cutting a trench. Then it hit the next crescent, and the next. By morning, Nora found silt caught in the branches. Fine soil, the kind that used to leave. Seeds were stuck in it. Leaves, bits of hay. A dark line of held material that ran along the curve like a promise. She crouched and pressed her fingers into the wet strip. For the first time in years, the hill had kept something. That was when Glenn stopped laughing. Not openly, not all at once. Men like Glenn did not admit they were wrong in a single sentence. They became quieter first. He drove by slower. Then he parked at the road once and watched Nora set willow cuttings into a damp pocket where the brush had trapped Runoff. A week later, he sent his hired hand over with 5 clean cedar tops from a wind-damaged shelter belt. No charge, the young man said, embarrassed. Nora accepted them. She did not smile until he had driven away. The change was small in June. You had to know what you were looking for. A strip of greener grass on the uphill side, a few insects working the blossoms, cow tracks that curved naturally along the berm instead of cutting straight down the slope. By July, it was harder to miss. The pasture below the first crescent held color when the high ground faded. The willow cuttings leafed out. Elderberry sent up soft green shoots through the dead branches. Meadowlarks returned to the lower fence line. Ruth, who had started walking again with a cane, insisted on seeing it herself. Nora helped her through the gate at sunset. Ruth leaned on the cane, breathing hard, and looked at the dead trees laced with new growth. For a long time, she said nothing. Then she touched one dry branch and one living leaf growing through it. "Looks like the old stuff is holding the young stuff up," she said. Nora looked down. "That's the idea." Ruth nodded, as if she had already known. The real test came in August. 3 hot weeks, no rain worth measuring. The kind of heat that turns the grass brittle and makes cattle stand with their heads low. Glenn's lower pasture browned first, then the road ditches, then the hay ground west of town. Nora checked her brush crescents every morning. The exposed soil between them dried. But inside the protected strips, the ground stayed cool underneath. Not wet, not miracle-soaked, just damp enough. The dead branches shaded the soil. The trapped silt held moisture. The half-buried trunks softened and began feeding fungi under the surface. When Mara returned with a soil scientist named Dr. Elias Brandt, he knelt beside the first crescent and pushed a small probe into the ground. 6 inches down, the soil came up darker than Nora expected. He rolled it between his fingers. "How long has this strip been protected?" 4 months, Nora said. He looked at the brush line, then at the pasture beyond it. 4 months does not rebuild a farm, he said. Nora felt her stomach sink. Then he held up the darker soil. But it can show you the farm still wants to be rebuilt. That afternoon, 3 neighbors walked in from the road. Glenn was with them. His boots were dusty. His face was unreadable. He stood at the edge of the first crescent and looked at the dead trees buried under elderberry leaves. Then he looked at the thin green strip running across Nora's slope, while his own pasture lay pale across the road. "I thought you were collecting garbage," he said. Nora pulled a piece of baling wire from the brush and tucked it into her pocket. "I was," she said. Glenn looked at her. She looked back at the hill. "I just didn't think garbage was the only thing it could be." No one answered. There are silences that feel empty, and there are silences that feel like a whole room changing its mind. This one was the second kind. By October, the crescents had become lines of rough life. Not pretty, not yet, but working. The brush caught wind-blown leaves. The willow rooted hard. The sand plums held their leaves longer than anything else in the pasture. A covey of quail began using the lower strip for cover. When the first cold front blew in, snow collected behind the dead branches instead of skipping across the hill into the ditch. Nora measured it with a yardstick and wrote the numbers in her black notebook. 4 inches caught behind the first crescent, 6 behind the second, nearly 8 at the deepest pocket. That snow would melt where it fell. Not in the ditch, not in Glenn's culvert, on Ruth's land. By the next spring, the place did not look like a pile of dead trees anymore. It looked like a rough young hedgerow being born from the bones of a town's holiday waste. Mara used the farm as a field stop for a conservation workshop. 12 people came, then 27. Then a county supervisor who had once called the lane an eyesore stood there taking photos with his phone. Nora did not give a speech. She showed them the slope. She showed them the spillways. She pulled back a branch and let them see the dark soil gathered underneath. She showed them where seedlings had rooted in the line between decay and shelter. That was the proof, not a miracle, not a story about a girl smarter than everyone else. A system, built from attention, corrected by failure, held together by patience. Ruth passed away 2 winters later, after one final Christmas in the farmhouse with paper snowflakes taped to the kitchen window. Before she died, she asked Nora to drive her down to the pasture in the old utility cart. The hedgerow was waist-high in places by then, willow bending in the wind, plum thickets catching snow, dry brown fir branches still visible underneath, slowly disappearing into the work they had started. Ruth reached out and rested her hand on one of the old trunks. "What people throw away tells you what they stopped understanding," she said. Nora never wrote that line in the notebook. She did not have to. It stayed. Today, the Pike farm is still small. 39 acres does not become 600 because a young woman learned to stack dead trees on a hillside. The bank did not suddenly forget its numbers. The weather did not become gentle. But the lower pasture holds through storms now. The gullies have softened. The cattle graze longer into dry weeks. The hedgerow catches snow, birds shade leaves in time. And every January after the holidays are over, trucks still turn down Nora's lane. Only now, nobody dumps dead trees as a joke. They bring them because they know where waste goes when someone understands what it can still become. The neighbors once thought Nora was building a pile of dead things. They were wrong. She was building a place where the living ones could finally hold on.